So let's talk about a specific type of content that I personally disagree with, and let's discuss and test whether or not this type of content is actually good or bad for golf content consumers like yourselves. So here's the reel in question.
These are the top 5 drivers for high swing speed golfers. If your swing speed is between 105 and 120, listen up.
So yes, this is a My Golf Spy top 5 drivers for fast swing speed golfers. So I'm going to be taking you through their list one by one today. I'm going to be hitting them, I'm going to be testing them, I'm going to be showing you how they perform for me, and then at the end, I'm going to be ranking them from 1 to 5 for my personal order and tell you exactly why I don't really agree with content like this.
Number 5 is the Cobra DS Adapt X. Not only is it a jack of all trades for distance, accuracy, and forgiveness, this won't be the last time that you hear the Cobra name on this list.
Number 5 on their list, the DS Adapt X. Really, really good drivers, done really well in the Bay this year. So let me jump on GC Quad, test it out, and show you guys some numbers. Oh. Miss it to start. Yeah, a little low necker, 15 offline at 280. So the specs of all these drivers will be kept exactly the same. So they're all going to be 10.5 heads turned down to 9.5. Apart from the GT3, obviously I don't do a 10.5, it is a 10. That will be turned down to 9.5 because I can manipulate it in 0.5 increments on our universal system. So they're all going to be playing 9.5, all exactly the same shaft, which is the Tour AD-VF5X, just plugged straight from one to another to another to another because we've got universal adapter systems to keep it fair, level playing field to see how they perform. Felt probably the closest one to the middle so far. This little draw, yeah, better carry. And it's great numbers, like 14 launch, 2,300 backspin, really good. One thing that seems a little bit off with this currently is just that efficiency. I mean, it's a good delivery, slightly from the inside, slightly closed, hitting up on the ball, middle strike, nice little draw down the left side, and 141 efficiency. Seems very low. So 165 ball speed and 117 club speed. It's not the best. And that wasn't too bad. Absolutely take it. Seems to be maxing out around that 290 carry. Again, that was 165 ball speed, 14 launch, 2-3 backspin. Basically exactly the same shot that I literally just hit. So that is kind of seems to be maxing out with the DS Adapt X. Oh, that was awful. You're really interested to see what that one does. I mean, it's gone remarkably straight. That is fairly impressive. So if we see where that strike was, I mean, yeah, it felt a lot worse than that. I mean, 16 mil toe. It just launched up massively, but 275 carry. Let's take a look at number 4.
Number 4, the Ping G440 SFT. SFT stands for Straight Flight Technology. And let me tell you something, Ping nailed the name, because if you spray the ball, this is one of the straightest drivers you will ever hit.
So that one really surprised me and pretty much everyone in the comments section. And there's an obvious reason for that. Yes, SFT stands for Straight Flight Technology, but that's only relative to your miss, something that they completely ignored in this reel. It's designed to reduce the right miss, reduce the slice, and typically higher swing speed players on the scale going to be slightly better on average. The slightly better player doesn't really miss with a slice. If anything, it might even be the opposite side. So if you have a left miss, are you going to go buy an SFT driver? Very, very unlikely. And if you do, you're probably going to massively struggle, as we're about to see when I hit it in the Bay. Tell you what, that was an awful strike. Probably wasn't that dissimilar to the first one that I hit with the Cobra, in fairness. And I mean, again, you cannot grumble at that result. Oh, I must say that didn't feel like a terrible swing. And that is why the head design matters a lot. I'm really going to have to fight. I mean, 75 yards left. Like, that is, okay, it probably wasn't my best swing, but it didn't feel terrible. I think I'm really going to have a hard time not hooking this thing. Yeah, again, like it didn't really feel like a terrible swing, but just so far left. Yeah, it felt really solid. I literally would just have to aim about 60 yards right to try and game this driver. I'm going to try and slice this one. Whee! Just got to try and slice it to actually hit it anywhere near straight. And to be fair, that's not done bad. I mean, obviously we're not going to expect this to be as long as the Cobra. It's going to be a much spinnier head. But yeah, I mean, bang out the middle. The strike pattern is actually phenomenal. The swing speed's actually up there, which I normally see ping maybe slightly down, especially against the Cobra. So I'm quite surprised to see the swing speed up there being pretty much the same. Again, efficiency, similar to the Cobra, not great, maybe slightly better for a middle strike, but 142. So again, around that 164 ball speed. It's just going to spin a lot more, right? Like 3,100 backspin. So we see a carry of 274 coming from a club speed of around 116. It's not great. Wow. Nearly missed that. And again, actually, it's done really well. Sort of, it's still left because for me, it's so hard not to close the face on this. But from a ball speed retention perspective, pretty solid. And the strike probably was a bit worse than the one with the Cobra, slightly more out the toe. Still got 162 ball speed, 269 carries. It's done really well from a carry perspective. Obviously, it's gone, I mean, it's still 1,034 revs of left spin, so it has geared quite a lot. It has turned over quite a lot. Obviously, the face was too closed at impact. It was a lot of me struggling with this head. But yeah, from a ball speed retention and a carry retention perspective, still done really well. So let's take a look at number 3.
Number 3 is the Callaway Elite Triple Diamond. This is not the first award it has won at My Golf Spy. Not only did it win the 2025 Best Driver overall, it ranked 3rd for high swing speeds. This driver's a beast.
Yeah, initial reaction, most people would say fits the mold a little bit better than like an SFT. The Triple Diamond for a higher swing speed player makes more sense. I mean, we've done really, really well with the Elite Core, in all honesty. We've done far better with the Core model, the sort of standard model, than we have the Triple Diamond this year. That has been one of the standout drivers of the year. It's in my bag, and it's surprising that these guys have never really mentioned that because I think that's phenomenal. However, still a very, very good driver, the Triple Diamond. So let's jump into the bay and have a hit. That wasn't too bad. Fairly middled. Yeah, I mean, he's back up towards that sort of 290 carry. Yeah, not a bad strike. 2.4 spin, 2.85 carry. That felt pretty good. Like that one. Yeah, really good. Yeah, I mean, like 2 millimeters low, but pretty down middled. And it's actually not too dissimilar numbers to the Dark Speed Adapt X. 2.5 spin, 290 carry. Like, it's actually very similar. Oh my. Tell you what, that's done really well because I nearly missed out the toe. It's gone miles. Again, not a lot of ball speed loss there. I don't know if it's quite as bad as some of the ones earlier. Yeah, 14 mil toe, so not awful, but definitely felt very, very toey. Okay, it's borderline left, to be fair, but I did close the face too much on that one, so it would have gone left regardless, even if I hadn't hit it out of toe. But to be honest, 165 ball speed, 290 carry. This has done a great job. Tell you what, that wasn't the best strike. It was maybe a fraction high, but this thing just does get out there. Yeah, 290 carry. Oh, that was so bad. Wow, that's done well. That was not only toe, that was like low toe. Still 163 ball speed, 2.5 spin. Yeah, I mean, that 22 mil toe and 10 mil low, 24 offline at 300 yards. Again, like the theory would say this is going to be probably one of the least forgiving in this test, right? Like, sorry, I do not see that. Moving on to number 2.
Runner-up this year is the Titleist GT3. How does it get there? Because it's long and it's straight. It's 2nd in distance and 4th in accuracy, which ended up giving it 2nd place this year for high swing speed golfers.
Yeah, again, makes more sense, right? GT3, a lot of you guys would go, yeah, for the better player, the quicker swing speed player, all that kind of jazz. And you all know my opinion on the Titleist drivers. For the last few generations, I think they've been phenomenal. The GTs are absolutely no different. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy hitting this one. So let me jump into the bay and see how it performs for me. Oh, that felt nice though. Titleist drivers do feel good. Wow, it looks like forward. Yeah. Straight out the gate, that is a very, very good drive. Again, we see similar numbers though from a ball speed perspective. Again, strike pretty damn centered. It was like 3-4 mil low, but pretty good. 144 efficiency, so probably the best efficiency we've seen so far. And 13 launch 2-2 backspin, so definitely coming out in a little bit of a lower window, seeing that launch come down a little bit and that spin come down a little bit, and you could kind of see that in the flight. It looked a little bit more forward and just looked like a more penetrating flight. Felt pretty good. Hit up slightly more on that one, I think. Felt like I fell off it a little bit, but it's the first one that almost carried 300. Yeah, strike pretty good. Again, 14 launch, 2-2 backspin, 144 efficiency, 167 ball speed, 298 carry. That's the best shot of the day. Oh, that's the worst toe strike I've hit today. That was horrendous. Big ball speed drop, but I nearly missed that. I mean, wow, 26 mil toe. That is not far from being off the face. And to be honest, 275 carry, 31 offline. Can't grumble. That's remarkable. That was very toe, 280 carry. Wow, here again, that 15 mil toe. So I've hit quite a few out there with the other clubs around that sort of 14, 15 mil. Which I know doesn't look that bad on that graphic, but that was extremely toey. But again, because my face to path was not too far off there, face was slightly open. The toe strike, if anything, actually probably helped me there because it would have obviously geared it back to play. If I'd have hit that out of the middle, it would have started right and just drifted. So it probably would have ended up like 20 to 30 yards right, whereas that only ended up 7 yards right. So the toe strike actually probably saved me there in all honesty. But again, for such a bad hit for a sort of players club that's for a better player and less forgiving, it's just absolutely, it's just not at all. Oh man, this thing feels good. Wow. That might be the best shot of the day. So good. Just got that extra jump in it. Again, ball speed up at 167, carry at 295. Like, it's just so much more forward. Time to take a look at number one.
The number one driver for all you high swing speed golfers this year, and it's still underrated for some reason, is the Cobra DS Adapt Max K. Not only was it number one overall, it was number one in distance, and it averaged 292 yards off the tee, which, oh, by the way, was 16 yards longer than the bottom of the pack. She long.
Another slight surprise. I definitely agree that Cobra are an underrated brand. Their performance now of clubs pretty much throughout the bag, from top to bottom, fantastic. They do fly under the radar because they just don't really have that marketing budget like your TaylorMade and your Titleist of the world. It's always going to be hard for them to compete at that level, but make fantastic product. They really do. Another slight surprise in the fact that that super high MOI, high forgiveness driver wouldn't necessarily be perceived to suit that kind of quicker, better player. A lot of people would think initially slower swing speeds, kind of higher handicaps, all that kind of jazz. We know that obviously isn't necessarily the truth. I would have some other concerns for a player like myself when it comes to a head design like this, as we're about to see. So let's jump into the bay and have a hit. Felt good. Turned it over a little bit. Efficient, definitely efficient. Wow, it's long, longer than I was expecting. Bearing in mind I did turn that over, to be fair, so that on a normal hole probably would be in trouble. 34 yards left, yeah, not great. Good strike. Wow. Much lower spin than I expected, even for a big draw. That felt really good. So again, this is the only thing about this specific driver. My miss is obviously left anyway, and I've hit some left with all of them, which is obviously swing. It's my swing. It's my bad delivery trait, characteristic. But this instantly feels easier to turn over, obviously, than the GT3, the triple diamond, which you would expect. Not as much as the SFT, that thing is mental, but definitely feels like it just wants to turn over a bit on me. There we go. That's a fraction toey. I'm really surprised at how forward this thing's coming out. Yeah, 290 carry. I'm getting some good numbers out of it, but 13 launch, 2000 backspin. I mean, or a hair under 2-1. I mean, that is not high spin at all. Oh, that one felt really good. Man, it is nice to hit. I've got to say, it's really nice to hit. And again, it's long. It is surprising, like very surprising. Yeah, 13 launch, 2-1 backspin. Like, that's impressive. Oh, there we go. We get one eventually. again, it's done remarkably well, to be honest. I mean, that was super, super low toe, very similar to the one I hit earlier. I think with a tight list, I want to say. Again, you're not getting much toeier than that. That was awful. Okay, it ended up 38 yards left. And again, with this, I am struggling a little bit more with that face closure. We can see there the face was 3.2 degrees closed relative to a 3.3 into out path. So the face was too close. So even if I'd hit that out the middle, it would have overdrawn effectively. It would have gone too far left. So it has ended up left, but it probably would have done that out the middle anyway. Retained really good ball speed, good launch, good spin, good distance. Again, for a miss hit that bad, really impressive. That felt really good. Wow. I mean, that could be one of the longest drives of the day, to be honest, which again, coming straight from this GT3 to this, does genuinely surprise me. I expected this to spin a lot more. We've got 169 ball speed, 14 launch, 22 backspin, 299 carry. Like, man, that is impressive. Okay, let's compare all of these numbers, how these heads performed on average for me. Let's start off with the number 5, which was the Cobra DS Adapt X. If we bring up those numbers, we can see an average of 164.7 ball speed, launch of 14.3, backspin of 2481, and an average carry of 287. I really don't mind those numbers at all. 14 launch, 2.5 kind of backspin, 165 ball speeds, pretty sort of standard for me really. And yeah, ending around that sort of like high 280s, 290 carry, it's doing pretty well. In at number 4 was the SFT. So if we bring up those numbers to compare, ball speed drops down to 162.4, which we'll find out why that was the case in a second. Launch at 14.7, backspin averaging 3,000 and a carry of 270. So on average, we were 17 yards down against the DS Adapt X. So to understand that drop in ball speed, we need to look at the club delivery data. Now, there's 2 factors that created that drop in ball speed. Number 1, swing speed. All right, the DS Adapt X averaged 116.4, SFT averaged 115.3. So 1 mile an hour, not dramatic, but there is another factor as well that compounds to lose that ball speed that we'll talk about in a second. But that drop in swing speed is not a massive surprise. Pings typically I see down in swing speed against other brands when we're doing fittings. That is pretty common. Second thing is efficiency. So not only did we have lower swing speed, we got less ball speed out of the swing speed also. So it's that double compounding effect, which leads to that reasonably significant drop in ball speed. One of the biggest factors I would say that's creating that is the dynamic loft. So with the DS Adapt X, we averaged 18.6 into the SFT 21.2. So even though the face on average was a bit more closed with the SFT, as we would imagine, we still delivered a lot more loft, and that just comes down to the head design itself, where that mass is positioned within the head, creating different dynamics coming through impact, meaning we added more loft. If we show more loft, we effectively get less efficiency. It's like me hitting a 5-iron or a 6-iron, right? I'm going to get more ball speed out of a 5-iron because it has lower loft. So all of those kind of effects compound, created that drop in ball speed. So the drop in ball speed paired with the spin going up to 3,000 created that massive 17-yard drop. That lack of distance is really a fitting issue, right? I mean, is it just a shorter head in general? Yes, I guess so, because we compared them at the same loft and it's 17 yards down. However, that was a 10.5 turned down to 9.5. So as a fitter, if I wanted to get that dynamic loft down, therefore bring down that spin and increase distance, we could just go to the 9-degree head and turn that down to 8, which would obviously achieve that. Actually, I'll do that now. Let's show you an example. That felt really good. That was really good. Yeah, it's a bit more like it. So if we compare that shot that I just hit to the best shot I hit previously with the SFT, we can see quite a dramatic difference really from that 274 carry up to 290. So we see a little bit more efficiency. Okay, I did swing a hair faster, but it's kind of only really around half a mile an hour. So we get a little bit more efficiency, which obviously leads to that little bit more ball speed. We see less dynamic loft, bringing down the launch and spin now into a really, really good window. Again, 13.5 launch, 2.4 backspin, really, really good numbers. And then we see that carry jump up towards 290, which is then actually very similar to some of the others. And now the average numbers are basically the same as the DS Adapt X. Now we see the launch fractionally lower, but the ball speed's pretty much the same, the backspin's pretty much the same, and the carry on average is pretty much the same. So again, it's not necessarily that the SFT is a shorter head, it's just a fitting problem. You get the right loft to fit your right delivery characteristics to get the right flight window to optimize distance. It's just that simple. Right, on to number 3, which was the Elite Triple Diamond. So if I bring up those numbers to join the others, we had average ball speed, 164.2, launch of 14.4, backspin of 2269, and an average carry number of 289. So 2 yards longer than the DS Adapt X, and that's really just coming from spin, because you can see there the ball speed is very similar, the launch is very similar, spin just a couple hundred revs lower than the DS Adapt X, meaning we got 2 yards more average carry. So the number 2 was GT3, a driver that I obviously really like. So if we bring up those average numbers, we can see a ball speed of 166, so really, really good ball speed. Launch down fractionally at 13.4, backspin still in around that 2.2 window, and an average carry of 292. Again, great average numbers. Obviously the ball speed being that little bit higher is fantastic. Really, really good average launch and spin, and an average carry of 292, so far being the longest. And into the number 1, the DS Adapt Max K. Now I will say the spin numbers did surprise me. I did expect it to be a little bit higher for me than the likes of definitely GT3 and probably the Elite Triple Diamond, but actually that spin window was pretty low. So we see an average ball speed of 165.6. So that sits in second behind the GT3. Really, really strong. Same launch as the GT3, 13.4. Basically the same spin as the GT3 at 2224 and an average carry of 290. So again, fantastic numbers and really did surprise me, and they do feel phenomenal. Those Cobra drivers, they really do. Now for me, the Max K did have the worst front to back dispersion, which, let's be real, is obviously going to be more me than it is anything else. And again, it did feel like it had a bit of that left one in it, which for a head design like that, we'd expect it to be a little bit easier to turn over. Nowhere near like the SFT, but a little bit easier to turn over. So from a directional perspective, I don't feel it was certainly the best for me, but from, you know, out and out distance and performance, spin rates, launch, all that sort of stuff for me, actually really good. Right, so let's sum up how I would rank these drivers for me and why I don't really necessarily agree with this form of content. So in at number 5 is going to be very obviously the SFT. So unbelievably left bias, and my miss is left. So that is just without a shadow of a doubt, not even remotely on my radar for a driver, and never, ever, ever, ever would be. In at number 4, I'm going to put... it's very close between the Cobra drivers, in all honesty, the Max K and the DS Adapt X, just purely based on, I think the numbers were obviously better from the Max K, but it was slightly straighter with the DS Adapt X. So really, like, the difference in yardage there is nothing really for me, let's be real. It's a few yards. So if I felt that the Max K was just slightly easier to get turning over, and on average it was a little bit more left, that's actually probably going to lead me to put the Max K down in 4th, the X in 3rd, the Triple Diamond in 2nd, and then the GT3 comfortably in at number 1 for a few reasons. Front to back dispersion was best. It was the most anti sort of left. It was the one I hit on average the least left. So it's sort of taking out my miss more than what I wanted. We're getting more ball speed, more efficiency, more distance, and it's taking out my miss. Like that, those things are just, I mean, for me, it's all about direction, right? For most of us, it is distance is great, but if you're always looking for your ball and losing balls, like, you're just not going to score at all. And that is my number 1 issue with content like this. Swing speed doesn't matter. Like, it does not matter. There's nothing about any of these drivers that make them better or worse for slower or faster swing speeds. Nothing. Zero. Zip. Like, nada. Honestly, it does wind me up because it doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't. It's your delivery characteristics that make what these drivers are going to do for you, like, important. For me, my miss is left. So I'm never going to be playing anything that is in any way left bias, like an SFT, like the Max K, but easy to turn over. Like, those sort of drivers for me are going to be horrendous. Doesn't matter about distance. I'm not going to hit fairways. They're not forgiving for me in the slightest. On the flip side, you could have my speed, but you could struggle with spin and you could struggle with a right miss. And in that case, this whole list would flip. The SFT would probably be number 1. GT3 would be right at the bottom. Right, so same swing speed, completely different delivery, need completely different things, so therefore you get a completely different result. However, having said that, I do sympathize with content creators. Being one myself, it's really difficult, and it's the same I moan about the marketing teams from all the big brands. I get it. It's really hard, right? Because most people do not know their deliveries. They might have a rough idea of their swing speed and they'll know their handicap. So those are the 2 biggest things from a marketing perspective that people are going to latch onto and go, oh yeah, that's me. Most people aren't going to know their swing traits in terms of angle of attack, delivered loft, face to path relationship on average. They're not going to know that, but that is the thing that matters the most by far. Like, end of story. It is. So that's why getting fitted properly is so important. Just forget handicap, forget speed. You have to go and get fitted, look at your dynamics, see what sort of clubs fit into those dynamics, and therefore those clubs are going to be the most forgiving for you. Even if they're not the most forgiving on paper, they will be for you. I will say, obviously, my Golf Spy do some great independent, sort of unbiased tests. So certain little things like this that I'm a bit like, don't really love. But in general, they're trying to put out some good information. And I think they're trying to do the best thing for the consumer. So this isn't really me bashing my Golf Spy. It's just a good opportunity, again, for me to try and open people's eyes to what maybe you should or shouldn't really be paying attention to. Like even a lot of my content, right? It's irrelevant. It's pointless. Yeah. We're kind of creating content and we're giving you our opinions on equipment. If I test a new driver, new Callaway, new Titleist, whatever, like what does that really matter to you? Absolutely nothing. Because when you go and get fitted, it could pan out the complete opposite. Like the number one thing in fittings is what do you get on with best? And there's no rhyme nor reason for it. Sometimes there'll just be a head that people click with. I can find strike, I can kind of control the face a bit better. Great. I can go and hit that driver and can't hit it for toffee, right? There's no such thing as the best driver out there anymore. There just isn't. Not in sort of like in general sense. It's the best driver for you. But as always, thank you so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you do enjoy it, please do subscribe, stay tuned. We've got loads more to come, including me testing the brand new 2026 T-Series irons. We got invited down to Woburn, incredible place, to not only test them, but also get fitted for them as well. So that video will be coming soon. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.